Hi, thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy day to spend a couple of minutes with me. My name is Sheila Caldwell, and I am the president and founder of the Heart2Heart Foundation. And today I am going to share my screen with you. We'll get this started. Technology is great, right? All righty, so let's get going. So today it's time for a heart to heart chat. What we're going to talk about today, I'm going to share a little bit about my personal story, what I learned from being a heart attack survivor, what I did next, and what you can do for yourself starting now. This is a reminder that this program is intended for educational purposes only. It is never intended to diagnose or provide medical advice of any kind. If you have symptoms or have specific questions regarding your health, please contact your healthcare provider. All right, so let's get started. So this is a photo of me taken 6 months before my heart attack. I was 50. A little bit about my background. My biggest risk factor for heart disease was actually a family history of early heart disease. If you look at my father's side of the family, as far back as you can tell, my dad, my grandfather, great grandfather, uncles, cousins, all had a history of heart disease, many of them having cardiac events in their 40s. So here I am at 50 years of age, and this is my biggest risk factor. Now, as far as other risk factors I had during that time, and my blood pressure was never like high and stayed high. It was what people called roller coaster blood pressure. It was up and down all over the place, but never consistently high. So when you look at my biometrics, my screening numbers, which we tell everybody to know your numbers, mine were not particularly remarkable. There was no red flag there that there was an issue. As far as high cholesterol now, our family has a history of high cholesterol, and mine has historically always been high. I struggle with triglycerides. I struggle with getting my HDL up and my LDL down, and a lot of that is genetics. At this time, it was also partly due to some of the mistakes I was making with my health that I didn't even know was a mistake at the time. So that was even borderline. One doctor would say you need to be on a cholesterol medication. Another one would look at my numbers and say, no, really, you don't. Just, exercise a little more, eat a little better, watch your stress, things like that. And so I was borderline. Again, nothing that really indicated an impending heart attack. And then, of course, BMI. By the time this photo was taken, I was in horrific pain and suffering from chronic fatigue 24 hours a day. I had put on some weight because I wasn't able to be as active or exercise as much as I needed to. So I was about 20 pounds overweight. That didn't help the joint and the muscle pain either. I really was suffering from horrible chronic fatigue. There was just a whole lot going on with my body that I was seeing specialists, but none of us related back to it affecting my heart health. Some of the things that I learned about later on was like the chronic fatigue, the inability to sleep, the low vitamin D, the elevated C-reactive protein, premature menopause. Those all were red flags that I needed to take a closer look at my heart health. I'd never had preeclampsia, but I noted that one because if you had preeclampsia during one of your pregnancies, that does put you at higher risk of heart disease. But that's where I was at the time. At the time of this photo, I was on 2 opioids a day. I was taking medications to help me sleep, and I was on an anti-inflammatory. And doctors have commented that they believe the anti-inflammatory may have played a part in my heart attack at such a young age. So here's what I learned after my heart attack at age 50. The first thing I learned after my heart attack is that pretty much everything I thought I knew about heart disease was from a man's perspective. When I worked for the American Red Cross and did marketing for them with health and safety courses, typically during that time, that was before We all started having conversation about women's heart health and how we present differently than men. It was mainly the men in my family who had had cardiac events. And so I looked at what they did and did not think that it was a heart issue for me because I didn't do what they did. It was very different, which is the first thing I learned. Women, we don't do the same that the men do when it comes to our heart health. So it's important for us to know what specifically are warning signs for us. I also learned that 90% of American women over the age of 20 have at least one risk factor for heart disease. So for most of you watching this program, you already have at least one risk factor for heart disease. Do you know what it is? It's important that you do. I also learned that about 8 million American women have heart disease in this country. 8 million women already have heart disease. Around half of those of African American women over the age of 20 have heart disease. So ladies, if you are African American descent, about half of you already have heart disease. Do you know what your risk factors are and what are you doing about them? Every year in this country, about 435,000 of us women, just the women, have a heart attack. They suffer a heart attack. I was very blessed in that I survived. But we do lose around 300,000 of us each year from this preventable disease. 300,000 women perish from heart disease in this country every year. Only about half of women in America know any of this that I just shared with you. But now you do, and you can share it. But here's the good news. About 80% of risk factors that lead to heart disease can be prevented or managed. And that gives us hope. That means if we have the ability to prevent or manage the risk factors of a disease, we have a chance of winning the fight against it. So that is hope. So what did I do next? I educated myself and I asked a whole lot of questions. I read everything I could get my hands on to understand how I missed so many warning signs in my own health and how I did not understand heart disease in women. And I spent months pouring myself into research and talking to people and trying to become my own best advocate. I also made a lot of positive lifestyle changes. That predominantly came through cardiac rehabilitation, which sadly, most women after a cardiac event don't go to or they don't finish. And I cannot stress how important cardiac rehab is to a heart attack or a cardiac event survivor of any kind. That will make a difference in your life. And I also shared my journey, my experience with others, as I have been doing since 2012. So what can you do now? First of all, take the pledge for better heart health. That has to begin with you. You can start with small changes. Eat more fruits and veggies. Limit the junk food. Prefer water. Reduce sodium and sugar. Avoid all tobacco and vaping products. And learn ways to manage stress. Get better sleep and find ways to move more on most days. If you haven't exercised in a while and you're trying to get back into it, do 15 minutes at a time. Too many times we try to start big and then we get discouraged or tired or busy and then we stop doing anything. But get up and get moving. Find things that you like to do. The best exercise is the one you'll actually do. And get your screenings. Learn your personal risk for heart disease and what you need to do next. And make sure, as sisters, we need to encourage and praise one another even for those small little wins. And it starts with you. The fight against heart disease is one that we actually have the power to win. That is awesome news. And this is a fight for the sake of our kids, our grandkids, our communities. This is a fight we must win. So we invite you to join our crusade. We have a grassroots advocacy group for women, by women, We're going to tell you more about that in a second. Learn how to share our message of prevention and hope with the women and men and kids in your life, and encourage at-risk women in our community. So we have our Red Heart Mamas. That is our advocacy group for women by women. It's we get together and we try to have a lot of fun when we can, but we do have a private Facebook group where we share and we encourage one another, and we provide educational opportunities, and eventually, hopefully again, very soon, volunteer opportunities to help us reach other women in our community. Membership is free, and that does include the access to our private Facebook group. And this month we have a very special contest, and this is going on through February the 7th. It actually ends at midnight on February the 7th. Take a moment. You can use your camera or your QR app on your smartphone, and you can scan that QR code. It's going to take you to a page. We invite you to join the Red Heart Mamas. Again, it is free. And you're going to be entered into a contest to win our Queen of Hearts Gala package. And if you aren't familiar with our gala, typically it is a huge event every year in our area with ladies in red dresses and tiaras. Well, we can't do that in person this year, but we are doing a virtual gala, and this will enter you into that contest. We'll be doing the drawing on Monday, February the 8th. So scan the code, complete the membership request form, and you will get more information about the Queen of Hearts Gala. Current members are also welcome to enter. So if you are a Red Heart Mama, feel free to fill out that form. You do have to be 21 years of age or older to enter the contest, and that is because there's a wine tasting involved, and we need to be compliant with that, don't we? And again, we will actually draw for the winner in our Red Heart Mamas group live on Monday, February the 8th. So stay tuned for that. So learn more. Awareness. That is the first. That's the first leg of our efforts. Keep in touch with us. You can go to our website, the Heart2HeartFoundation.org. Follow us on Facebook. Be a part of the Red Heart Mamas group. We would love to hear from you and get involved. You can volunteer. You can share this message with other women and become part of the advocacy, part of our grassroots effort to reach more women with this life-saving message. We'd like to thank our companies with heart that made this program possible. And you can see our affiliations there, both nationally and locally. And thank you so much. If you have questions, feel free to post them, or you can email us or send it through private message. We'll be happy to answer any of your questions. And if you need educational materials, please go to our website. There are lots of free resources there. And subscribe to our YouTube channel, where you can actually watch more educational videos to help you and yours be heart healthy. Finally, just one more piece of advice. Remember that the better you love your heart, the longer it can love you back. Thank you so much, and we look forward to hopefully seeing you all again in person really soon.